But Neptune felt the fracas and the frenzy, and shaken by the unleashed winds, the wrenching of the still currents from the deep sea bed, he raised his tranquil head above the surface, and he can see the galleys of Aeneas scattered across the waters, with the Trojans dismembered by the waves and fallen heavens. Her brother did not miss the craft and wrath of Juno. Catching that, he calls up both the east wind and the west. His words are these: "Has pride of birth made you so insolent? So, winds, you dare to mingle sky and land, heave high such masses without my command? Whom I? But no, let me first calm the restless swell. You shall yet atone, another time, with different penalties for these your crimes. But now be off, and tell your king these things, that not to him but me has destiny allotted the dominion of the sea and my fierce trident. The enormous rocks are his, your home, east wind. Let Aeolus be lord of all that lies within that hall, and rule in that pent prison of the winds." So Neptune speaks, and, quicker than his tongue, brings quiet to the swollen waters, sets the gathered clouds to flight, calls back the sun. Together, then, Cymothoe and Triton, thrusting, dislodge the ships from jagged crags. But now the god himself takes up his trident to lift the galleys, and he clears a channel across the vast sand bank. He stills the sea and glides along the waters on light wheels. And just as often when a crowd of people is rocked by a rebellion, and the rabble rage in their minds, and firebrands and stones fly fast, for fury finds its weapons, if by chance they see a man remarkable for righteousness and service, they are silent and stand attentively, and he controls their passion by his words and cools their spirits. So all the clamor of the sea subsided after the father, gazing on the waters and riding under cloudless skies, had guided his horses, let his willing chariot run. And now Aeneas's weary crewmen hurry to find the nearest land along their way. They turn toward Libya's coast. There is a cove within a long, retiring bay. And there, an island's jutting arms have formed a harbor where every breaker off the high sea shatters and parts into the shoreline's winding shelters. Along this side and that, there towers vast, a line of cliffs, each ending in light crags. Beneath the ledges, tranquil water lies silent and wide. The backdrop, glistening forests, and, beetling from above, a black grove thick with bristling shadows. Underneath the facing brow, a cave with hanging rocks, sweet waters, seats of living stone, the home of nymphs. And here no cable holds tired ships, no anchor grips them fast with curving bit. Aeneas shelters here with 7 ships, all he can muster, all the storm has left. The Trojans, longing so to touch the land, now disembark to gain the wished-for sands. They stretch their salt-soaked limbs along the beach. Achates was the first to strike a spark from flint and catch the fire up with leaves. He spread dry fuel about, and then he waved the tinder into flame. Tired of their trials, the Trojan crewmen carry out the tools of Ceres and the sea-drenched corn of Ceres. And they prepare to parch the salvaged grain by fire and, next, to crush it under stone. Meanwhile Aeneas climbs a crag to seek a prospect far and wide across the deep, if he can only make out anything of Antheus and his Phrygian galleys, or of Capys, or the armor of Caicus on his high stern. There is no ship in sight. All he can see are 3 stags wandering along the shore, with whole herds following behind, a long line grazing through the valley. He halted, snatched his bow and racing arrows, the weapons carried by the true Achates. And first he lays the leaders low, their heads held high with tree-like antlers. Then he drives the herds headlong into the leafy groves. They panic like a rabble, at his arrows. He does not stay his hand until he stretches victoriously 7 giant bodies along the ground, in number like his galleys. This done, he seeks the harbor and divides the meat among his comrades, and he shares the wine that had been stowed by kind Acestes in casks along the shores of Sicily. The wine that, like a hero, the Sicilian had given to the Trojans when they left. Aeneas soothes their melancholy hearts. O comrades, surely we're not ignorant of earlier disasters. We who have suffered things heavier than this, our God will give an end to this as well. You have neared the rage of Scylla and her caves' resounding rocks, and you have known the Cyclops' crags. Call back your courage and send away your grieving fear. Perhaps one day you will remember even these our adversities with pleasure. Through so many crises and calamities, we make for Latium, where fates have promised a peaceful settlement. It is decreed that there the realm of Troy will rise again. Hold out and save yourselves for kinder days. These are his words. Though sick with heavy cares, he counterfeits hope in his face. His pain is held within, hidden. His men make ready the game that is to be their feast. They flay the deer hide off the ribs, the flesh lies naked. Some slice off quivering strips and pierce them with sharp spits, while on the beach the others set cauldrons of brass and tend the flame. With food their strength comes back again. Along the grass they stretch and fill their bellies full of fat, venison, meat, and well-aged wine. That done, their hunger banished by their feasting, and the tables cleared, their talk is long, uncertain, between their hope and fear, as they ask after their lost companions, wondering if their comrades are still alive, or if they have undergone the final change, and can no longer hear when called upon. Especially the pious Aeneas moans within himself the loss now of the vigorous Orontes, now of Amycus, the cruel end of Lycus, the doom of brave Cloanthus, of brave Gaius. Their food and talk were done, when Jupiter, while gazing from the peaks of upper air across the waters winged with canvas, and low-lying lands and shores and widespread people, stood high upon the pinnacle of heaven, until he set his sight on Libya's kingdom. And as he ponders this, the saddened Venus, her bright eyes dimmed and tearful, speaks to him.